Well, this is a little red book, but it's not Mao Zedong. It's not. It's daily, beyond God the Father. $69875 Duns Scotus Library, Lourdes College, Sylvania, Ohio. There's a close-up there. Duns Scotus Library, Lourdes College. Mary Daly. I wonder if that's Mary Daly's signature. 305.4 D, 17. Duns Lourdes College Library. 307-379-1000-6915-4. It's a book. It's a book. It's a red book, but it's not Mao Zedong. Beyond God the Father. There's an illustration. There is one there. And here's an illustration. Well, there's one right here. Two illustrations, I believe. Maybe more, maybe not. Beyond God the Father, toward a philosophy of women's liberation by Mary Daly, Beacon Press, Boston, Massachusetts, I guess. 069875. Well, here you go. Copyright 1973 by Mary Daly. Holds the copyright. Illustration copyright by Emily Culpepper. Beacon Press books are published under the auspices of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Published simultaneously in Canada by Saunders of Toronto Limited. All rights reserved. Printed in the United States of America, 987-65432. Library of Congress Catalog and Publication Data. Daily Mary, Beyond God the Father, Toward a Philosophy of Women's Liberation. Includes these things. HQ1154.D3, 301.41273-6245. ISBN 08070416445. In memory of Anna and Frank, who gave me their hope. Tigger, Tigger, burning bright in the forests of the night, what immortal hand or eye dare frame thy fearful symmetry? William Blake. Contents. The problem, the purpose, and the method. After the death of God the Father, exorcising evil from Eve, the fall into freedom. Beyond Christolatry, a world without models. Transvaluation of values, the end of phallic morality. The bonds of freedom, sisterhood as anti-church, sisterhood as cosmic covenant. The final cause, the cause of causes, notes and index. Preface. This book is, in a real sense, a sequel to The Church and the Second Sex, published in the late 60s, just before the contemporary tide of women's liberation writings burst forth. The earlier book manifested some of the anger and ebullient hope that characterized the period immediately following the Second Vatican Council. I thank Jan Raymond, Linda Berifaldi, Emily Culpepper, and Jean McRae, whose friendship, ideas, and process of becoming are woven into the fabric of this book. For their support, I thank also my friends, especially Polly Murray, Kay Ash, Nell Morton, Pat and Joe Green, Mary Lowry, Ann and Irvin Cobb, Claire Hall, Helen and John Gray, Mary Lou Thompson, Betty Farians, Francis McGillicuddy, Bill Wilson, Jim Burke, Sele and Eli Levitt. I thank Yolanda Gringeri for helping me with the preparation of the manuscript. This is the words of Mary Daly. Beyond God the Father. The problem, the purpose, and the method. Robin Morgan. I want a women's revolution like a lover. I lust for it. I want so much this freedom, this end to struggle and fear and lies we all exhale, that I could die just with the passionate uttering of that desire. Robin Morgan. Okay, that's it. Okay, there we go. Oh, the divided self, Christ and Mary. Compensatory glory, the image of Mary as model. The bonds of freedom, sisterhood is anti-church. A woman must never be free of subjugation. The Hindu Code of Manu 5. I thank thee, O Lord, that thou hast not created me, a woman. Daily Orthodox Jewish prayer. Creator of the heavens and the earth, he has given you wives from among yourselves to multiply you, and cattle, male and female. Nothing can be compared with him. Holy Quran of Islam. Wives, submit yourselves unto your husbands. Husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 23 to 24. Religion legitimates so effectively because it relates the precarious reality constructions of empirical societies with ultimate reality. Peter Berger in The Sacred Canopy. And these are all the notes and the index. What's the last words? The notes are at the end, of course. Conclusion. The end of the Looking Glass War. An unwitting description of the cause of the peace movement's built-in obsolescence was made by biblically based Dan Berrigan during an interview reported in December of 1972. By the way, Dan Berrigan, I know a relative of Dan Berrigan, and I dined in her home and that of her husband and her children, this friend or relative of Dan Berrigan. I did in New London, Connecticut, by the center of the universe and beyond the Big Bang. This seminary, Union Theological in New York, is like a playpen. I see signs in the elevators and in the halls, signs about raking leaves, sherry parties, women's liberation, emphasis mine, and so forth, but never anything about the war. It's forgotten. There is, practically speaking, no church resistance to the war anymore, but I can't forget about the war. Berrigan's commitment and courage are unquestionable, but raking leaves, sherry parties, women's liberation, when will they understand it is it's rapism that has spawned racism. It is genocide that gives rise to genocide. In November 1972, the American people elected Richard Nixon to a landslide victory. December 1972 witnessed the heaviest bombing raids on Hanoi since the beginning of the Vietnam War. When will they understand? Can it be that we are beginning to witness the fullness of the gospel? The elected one points us toward the omega point. It is a time of warfare between principalities and powers. On December 20th, 1972, the news was telecast that Phil Berrigan was released from prison. Mass was celebrated among the gathering of family and friends. During the Mass, Pete Seeger's song, Turn, Turn, was sung. The words that came over national television were, "To everything, turn, turn. A time to kill, a time to heal." The song, of course, has its origin in the Bible, in Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 1 through 8. The chapter begins, "There is a season for everything, a time for every occupation under heaven. Among the approved dichotomies listed in this wisdom literature are a time for killing, a time for healing, a time for knocking down, a time for building, a time for loving, a time for hating, a time for war, a time for peace. Oh, that's the last one. I guess we got to get through all the killing, healing, knocking down, building, loving, hating, and war that you can't possibly enjoy and understand enough till you get to a time for peace. And so the eternal circle turns. When will they understand? George Wald has written, one has to begin to ask, are there such highly superior technological civilizations elsewhere in the universe? Or is there not only a time when such a creature arrives, but a somewhat later time, perhaps not very much later, in which he, sick, departs? That problem now very much concerns us. We have been locked in this Eden of his far too long. If we stay much longer, life will depart from this planet. The freedom to fall out of Eden will cost a minor, mirror-shattering experience. The freedom becoming survival of our species will require a continual communal striving in being. This means foregoing the great chain of the being in sisterhood that can surround non-being, forcing it to shrink back into itself. The cost of failure is nothing or no thing. Is this the war to end wars? The power of sisterhood is not war power. There have been and will be conflicts, but the final causes not by conflict, but by attraction, not by the attraction of a magnet that is all there, but by the creative drawing power of the good who is self-communicating being. Who is the verb from whom, in whom, and with whom all true movements move. Who is a verb? Who were? Were is a verb. Who is a verb? Verb, verb. Who were? Who were? Two verbs. Well, until another time. Mary Daly. Just in case you missed it. It's signed by Mary Daly. And is, well, of course, first run, first edition. Signed by Mary Daly. And it's mine. Mine, mine, mine. It's all mine. And there you go. It's all that they wrote, Mary Daly, and all those that were mentioned, including Berrigan, who I dined with a relative of his and that relative's spouse and that relative and spouse's children, or childs. Ronnie-Dean-Ward, Dino Aldo, Ditmas, Flatbush, Brooklyn, New York. Is that a Potempkin village?